So you said that you have an interesting thing you wanted to tell me about the Nostalgia Critic.
Well, it's an interesting thing about the channel that he kind of created, rather.
Okay.
So it used to be thatguywiththeglasses.com, and what it was a video aggregator that would bring a bunch of, content creators that may not have been good on blip.tv or YouTube because of the copyright.
Because
stuff.
they're reviewing films.
Yeah. So the website would bring them on, and they wouldn't make any money, but there would be exposure because the Nostalgia Critic was a very big just success, and it went well for quite a few years, and it was good. And some creators left and whatnot, and times change, people change, and whatnot. But over the past few months, not only did people leave, but there were allegations from previous creators who said that there was kind of the standard
Sexual
thing,
harassment stuff, yeah.
not necessarily sexual harassment, but like sexual comments that weren't appropriate. One of the creators said that for one of their collaboration specials, one of the jokes, it was supposed to be a rape joke, and she didn't feel comfortable, but they were really trying to get her to do it, and instead it was like they did change the joke. Channelawesome, which it's now known as, responded, and every day it would seem like a new creator would be leaving. And they responded with a, obviously, legal-esque response.
Yeah.
But the whole response was about how the allegations were made in a 74-page document. Lots of allegations. And they responded, but as they responded, they accidentally released the name of one of their content creators, because one of the allegations is the creators were working with somebody who was I'll use, because it's an allegation, let's say rapist or like sexual assaulter, serial assaulter.
Okay.
Of younger people. And the response actually gave it away who it was. Now, the reason why it makes it interesting is this person used to be a big, again, video creator on Channelawesome and also on YouTube. His name was Juwario. I don't know if that means anything.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
His actual name was Justin. When I was watching videos about this, Justin kept getting freaked out because he kept hearing that Justin was a rapist.
Oh, boy.
But popular reviewer, apparently, and it makes more sense now, he had some depression, and he killed himself about 4 years ago. And the internet went crazy. There are still YouTube channels that, up until now, that displayed his famous hat, which was like the Wario hat from Mario, but it was JW instead.
That's why I immediately rang the bell. I remember that.
Yep. So there have been lots of channels that have been dedicated. They've made documentaries. They did a mental health documentary and all that. And then these allegations come to light where he has allegedly, done some inappropriate things with women. But he was also, and now that I'm talking about it, I'm going to screw up the term. He was priming. I don't know.
Oh, grooming.
Grooming.
Yeah.
And looking back at some of the cons, there were like memorial services, and some like for him, and some of the people that talked were younger women.
Because they were still so devoted to him.
And they were saying, by younger, they were at the cusp where it becomes okay-ish, at least at the point while they're talking, but they're talking about how, he talked to me, he talked to me directly on Twitter, and then he was streaming one day, and I had told him it was my birthday on Twitter, and then I went into his chat room, and he paused his game to sing happy birthday to me, and then we began to talk, and he was my best friend and all that. So now there's nobody left on Channelawesome.
No? They all just left because they couldn't stand to be associated
Everybody
with them.
left. There's a few videos that are still being released. It's so weird because all the comments are so negative. It's obvious that the Nostalgia Critic had stuff in the can because they're still being released as though everything is fine, but he hasn't commented. It's been silent. Nobody knows. They assume that he's lawyering up, but it's just...
So, to what extent is anybody else responsible for the actions of this person who's now deceased?
Well, they theoretically should have went if they knew about it.
If they knew about it.
There was a lot of people that knew about it, apparently.
It's a really common thing among YouTubers, and I'm not even talking like old YouTubers. I'm thinking YouTubers that might be like 19 years old or something, grooming fans. It seems to be a very common thing where people are, if they're suddenly thrust into power, and I guess they're the kind of person that's interested in controlling people, and it's probably easier to control younger people. It's been, I know Britain's had there's a lot of British YouTubers that have been caught up in those kind of scandals, but not to say that they're the only ones. There's lots of YouTubers from all over the place. I don't know. It's pretty common thing.
Interesting topic. There's not a lot of like actual hard facts to go on, but it's just this
unless somebody's going to testify about it.
I mean, who knows by the time.
And what benefit would that person get other than attention, which you hope that they're not looking for attention, because if they're actually a victim of something, I don't know. I don't know what good can come of it by them coming forward at this point.
I don't know.
It's not like he's alive to do time in jail.
But there's a lot of YouTube response videos of people just being like, I started my channel because of this guy.
Yeah.
And now he's a monster.
You can turn around so quick once you find out more personal things about people.
No kidding. I was a big fan of the channel, and I remember when he died. I never watched any of his videos, but obviously it's sad when somebody kills themselves because they're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I mean, and again, not guaranteed or confirmed at all, but he obviously had issues, and you wonder if maybe him killing himself had something to do with guilt from that.
Could be,
know.
Or just instability to begin with, which maybe explained the choices that he made back then.
But allegedly, contacts on his phone from witnesses. I mean, he had his wife because he was married.
Okay.
But then he also had some nicknames on their phones like slave and whatnot, so he was
into some weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully people are now getting a chance to talk, but it's such a weird thing. There's been 2 victims that have kind of anonymously online came forward. They both kind of said, he's dead.
Yeah. This is an interesting instance because usually I don't really like the idea of having anonymous accusers. But if it's for somebody who's already dead, really the only thing left to tarnish would be someone's reputation, and they kind of deserve it if it seems to be the truth at that point. I mean, if you're going to anonymously accuse somebody that might face legal repercussions for your accusations, I think the legal system should really have a little way of having a little bit higher stakes where you have to come forward. You have to be public with
at some point it might
claims.
happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what you could do if you could sue an estate, but it's not like it's a huge estate.
No. You don't think there was a lot of money?
Maybe.
How many years ago was it that he died?
4 or 5 years ago.
And this was YouTube content as well?
He was YouTube content.
So ad revenue at that point in time was pretty decent.
But I just don't know what numbers he was bringing in.
Yeah.
He was popular enough that people, you knew of him sort of just by the hat. So he was popular, but I don't know. And then there's his. I wonder what happens when an estate gets transferred, because let's assume he left his money to his wife.
Right.
He's been dead for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
His estate theoretically should be done. He might be making money on his YouTube channel still, but that would go to her legally. Again, just saying.
Yeah.
Can you? Because it's now legally hers. It's you're suing.
You're not taking.
I don't know how that would work.
You can sue an estate. Let's just say somebody is a musician, and they die, and a decade later, there's still profits generated from their music. People sue over, like, let's just say, so they stole something, like the music was plagiarized or whatever. That still happens. I don't know who exactly has to cough up the money, but it definitely happens. I've heard of it.
Companies.
Yeah, it would make sense that they would have to, but then that's still strange that the record company is being held responsible for the plagiarism of an artist that's dead.
Record company allow it to happen.
I guess.
It's under the record company's watch. The record company has a team of lawyers and assumably like fact checkers and whatnot.
No, I guess there is some responsibility on their part, of course.
Plus, they'd be record companies at that point would probably kind of own the rights to there'd be private royalties that go out, but that being said, again, music is written by a person.
Yeah.
So it depends. If you can't, you could sue the Beatles, or you could sue Paul McCartney. But I don't know. It's
yeah, because even if Paul McCartney plagiarized his part of the song, but then it would be the Beatles as a whole.
But then who owns the song at this point? It's the record company.
Yeah. So everyone, owns the rights to the music. There's a lot of gray areas there.
Yeah. So no, that's it. And I don't normally get tarnished by stuff like this. I still enjoy Louis C.K. Like it's still funny. But something like this, because there's so much negative talk and it's very current, I enjoy Nostalgia Critic. I find it entertaining. He released 2 since he's kind of went silent on everything. And I'm just going to take a break. You assume that he has a few in the can that were scheduled, so maybe by next week there'll be something. Mm-hmm. But it got to the point where the last person on the channel, although he disagreed with what was going on, he's like, this is like the Hunger Games. I'm going to be the last one left. And he was just tweeting about how they dropped out. They dropped out, and he won. He was the last person.
Well, I mean, if you're saying that, you're probably pretty determined to stick around to begin with.
And then he left. So now it's the Nostalgia Critic and then a bunch of archive shows. But I don't know. Some of the complaints were, hey, we never got paid for the like cameo specials or the collaboration specials, but it was well known that like Channelawesome would never pay the creators. They were just an aggregator. It was like it was kind of like a multi-channel network where your success breeds
other people. It's success. For promotion.
Yeah.
If you get featured.
So people, I don't think, can complain about not getting paid for something if you're invited to do it. Mm-hmm. But that's just me.
Huh?
I guarantee that if I ever die, I mean, I'm going to, but if I ever die and there's this wonderful, wonderful funeral and I'm well respected, I guarantee that 5 years later, you're not going to find out that I was grooming young women.
I would hope not.
No. And I will say that for the record. Yes. I've dated younger women, but that's only a year.
Only a year.
I'm sure.
It's as low as you go.
General rule of thumb, maybe. I mean, I've went lower. I've been 22, and I was 25, so that's 3 years. And I've went as high as 33, and I was 24 then, so that was 9 years.
Big difference.
That wasn't good.
No.
No.
No, I'm younger, but I think I've done. Was I 20? As a 22-year-old, an 18-year-old, but that didn't last long. So.
Well, the 33-year-old, nice person. She came into my life at a very bad time. The great hard drive crash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she bought me drinks that night and whatnot. Nice, but after 3 or 4 dates of fun, like it was fun, I realized, well, shit. Should probably like actually get to know the person, and then full disclosure, the worst way to open up a date is to say, so do you want kids? Because when she says no,
well, then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I was waiting for that check because of that bill. No, it wasn't a good way to open up like the sixth date, but she made a point. I suppose at 33, she was like, if I wanted kids,
Probably would have got
I
him.
would have had them.
Yeah.
Like I guess that's a fair point. So, I mean, there were other issues, but
So, on to the way to the podcast this week, we were in Florida.
yes, we were. Is that our segue now?
Yeah.
Okay, on the way to the podcast. So perfect. We were in Florida, except that was Florida. This is not as nice as the beach.
No, not even close. I don't think we'll replicate what we did out there for a long time.
No, maybe next year.
And I hope we don't replicate what Nashville was like ever. That was terrible. That was the worst. I don't care if we have to pay double that next time if we need to stop somewhere.
You know what would have been fun to do? Again, going meta, I suppose.
Nah.
If we were doing this when we were in Cuba, rooftop.
Oh yeah. See, Cuba is really interesting because basically nobody cares what tourists do. Like nobody watches you. Nobody like. I feel like in America you're held to the same standard as all the citizens are. In Cuba, we were running across rooftops, busting in the roof, like access ladders and shit to go to the roof.
Yeah.
Doing whatever we wanted, pretty much. Jesse became a bartender for a little bit. Just let him take over because they could sit on a chair and take a nap and not have to
still
work.
got paid.
Yeah, they still got paid. Probably a pretty good wage, seeing as it's a resort.
Yeah. And whatever tips I got,
They got
too.
to keep.
Dominican was the opposite of Cuba, but worse than the States. Sort of. Like, we didn't have any problems in Florida. We even tried to kind of look around, see if there was some sort of way to get a view or get higher.
In a building and
in a separate building and whatnot. But in Dominican, there's security guards everywhere. They were watching. There was one night, I remember, I was drunk, as was Tila and whoever else, but I couldn't find her, and I also couldn't. She had my room key. I think I don't know if we had 2 or 1, but she had mine, so I couldn't get into the room, and she had went off, and I was drunk, as I mentioned, and I saw them walking down the pathway, and I did like my come to Jesus moment. It was like, I found you, and I fell to my knees and then fell forward, and the security guard came up, and he was like, no, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. But it was weird because they weren't violent. Dominican was weird in general. Beautiful place. I'd love to go back.
Yeah.
But it's the only place where I've ever had somebody complain about a tip. And it's not like, this isn't enough. When we got there, it was for a wedding, right? We had a bunch of camera equipment nestled deep in our camera bags. Yeah. Bellboy comes and I don't want you to do it, but he took the bags anyway. So I'm watching him. He takes some room. And one of the reasons why I also didn't want him to do it is all I have were friggin' 20s. I'm not going to give him $20 for doing that. No. And they accept Canadian money there, which is great.
It's nice.
But I had change. So I gave him a fair amount of change. Like $7 or something like that. Like a good amount.
Decent amount.
He got mad. He's like, what is this? I'm like, fuck, I'll take it back. I didn't. He did take it, but I found out later in the trip that the reason why they don't like doing that or taking change is because it's too heavy to mail back to their family. Oh. But yeah, I mean, if you get let's assume that you take like 20 people to their rooms during your shift. Yeah. They each give you $10. So that's $200 Canadian. Of the $200, let's say $15 to $20 is change. That's still $180 you're sending back. Yeah. Right? Keep $20 for yourself.
And there's no way for them to exchange it while they're there?
I mean, I would assume it's not easy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been mad.
Interesting. I'm still I find a bit perplexed by the security guard being upset about you dropping to your knees and doing it weird.
They were always just walking, just these
like the social police, like the
basically these big, and in the dark it was weird because they were these big black men with white shirts. All you see is just a shirt walking towards you. You're like, oh, there's security. So,
I never I haven't heard about that at all. Even lots of my friends have gone to the Dominican
But again, it
Republic.
might. Well, okay. So the other thing, and I don't know how verified this is, but one of the people that went to the wedding had like a not a high risk type thing, but he had been to jail a few times.
Yeah, I know who this character is.
Yeah. And he jokingly said that the security guards are probably more so for him. And considering, not mentioning names, that within the first few hours they were able to, I don't know exactly how big of a feat this is, but get a considerable amount of cocaine delivered to them on the resort.
Wow.
The security guards had a reason to be there.
Yeah.
First time I've ever seen cocaine up close.
What became of that? They just nobody.
Just so much cocaine.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever Tila talks about. No, unbelievable. That's another movie I'm writing.
What, the sequel to Scarface?
No, it's just everything about that week was such a farce. Like people having sex with other people, thinking they're having sex with somebody else.
What?
Yeah. So this one girl had sex with a guy.
Okay.
I got them together because this Spanish guy came up to this girl and he was hitting on her. Turns out he was a pimp, which again just has its own weird side story. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to say his name just because it's a common name. You don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, hey, Steve. Very common. Pretend you two are dating so the pimp will leave. So he grabs her arm and whatnot. He's like, hey, and they end up going to have sex. So
that worked?
It worked very well. I should have told her, hey, pretend.
Pretend.
Yeah. I wish. So he comes back afterwards, and it's now all the guys because it's like 3:00 in the morning. And at this point, I also should mention that I had told Teal I was going to bring her back food. Instead, I got pissed drunk and left the food somewhere. She was sick. It was her first flight.
Oh, no.
He comes back, so we're like, how was it? He's like, it was good, but it was weird. As we were doing it, she was just like, how could you be doing this to Michelle? And then the one guy that I was with, one of the guests was like, how could you be doing this to Michelle? Michelle's my girlfriend.
So she thought it was him.
She was having sex with him because she was blitzed. Like unbelievably drunk. So this guy who is coked out goes into a rage and he's like, don't you fucking tell it. Like
What?
And again, I'm observing this. I don't know these people. I don't have a camera, but I might as well be documenting this because I'm like so far out. At this point, we're in just a little side part of the pathway with one of those dangling lights. It looked like an interrogation. Summer breeze, so the light's blowing, and he's like, if she finds out, she's gonna break up with me. And he turned to me and he was like, don't you fucking say anything. I'm like, I'm just drunk. Like, yeah. And that's just the beginning.
Oh, God.
That was night one. I woke up the next morning on the floor.
You have no idea how you got there?
I remember. The night was a blur. Basically after that point, because we went back to another room and drank, and I'm like, I gotta go. I'm pretty sure I went to bed at like 5 a.m. and Tila was up at like 7:30 for breakfast because she was like, hey, you didn't bring me back food. Like, so we went to get food, and then there's a picture that I have where I'm obviously still incredibly drunk, and the two, Steve and somebody else, they're walking. They hadn't went to bed yet. And there's a picture of me looking so rough, and they're just smiling. Like we became friends. It was good, but it's just such a farce. The bride being mad about stuff. It'll make a good movie.
That sounds like a.
It's gonna star. We casted it out. It's gonna have Jason Alexander as the bride's father, Julie Walters as bride's mother. Ellen Page is going to play Tila.
Okay.
Jonah Hill will play me. Trying to think. Who else is in this? We did have it seriously cast out. Justin Bieber would be cast in it as the cokehead.
I can see older Justin Bieber looks a little bit like who I'm thinking of from the groomsmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there were a few others. Like we got oh Jesus, who else? Both Francos, which they haven't done before, and now the Disaster Artist is out, so I feel like it's not taboo to put both of them in there. But yeah, it was an all-star cast.
Good luck.
I know. But it's a true story.
That's how you get a start. You can say based on a true story.
Yeah, and you just change the names to protect the truth, I guess, not the innocent. There's a lot of illegal activity. So much cocaine.
I wonder if it's easier to get a lot of cocaine in the Dominican Republic.
I know it's just as illegal.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So I mean, in Jamaica, even though pot's only legal on one part of the island, you can get it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk to somebody. Oh, you having a good time? Yeah, I'm having great. Do you smoke?
It's
Back
accessible.
then, no. Now, sure. I can't afford to go back to that resort.
In Jamaica, yeah.
Beautiful resort. Say what you want. Great, but the Make-A-Wish Foundation, great foundation. I didn't really feel like I needed to go, but I did.
Take it if you can get it.
Immediate family, unbelievable resort. They really need to work on their wristbands for underage women.
What was they didn't have any? Or they just...
You know the story.
Oh, I know this story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, not pulling out the classics. We're very good at keeping some stories, but yeah, the resort really did need to have like a this is a young teen.
How old do you have to be to drink in Jamaica? 18. Well, okay.
She was not 18.
No.
And she knew what she wanted.
Yeah. So
it was me.
So you do you need a wristband to go order something at the bar?
I had a wristband. She had a adult wristband. Like the wristbands basically were you can drink or you can't drink.
Yeah, so 18.
Yeah. But they were the same color. Like there should have been maybe a kid, not that she was a kid, but like a kid's wristband, just so there was some sort of classification. Because I'm pretty sure that hotel also had like a la carte option where your drinks weren't all included, so she could have been a la carte. So it's just one of those weird things. Nothing happened.
No,
but
the a lot of the resorts, at least from when I get of Cuba, they don't pay attention to the wristbands either. Just because we were at one,
they don't pay attention. You go to the same. Well, the one we were at. They did shoo away people who were on the beach, but for the most part, they don't.
Yeah, but we went to the one across the street, which is in the same chain.
That was the nicer one.
It was a nicer one. We paid for a cheaper hotel, and we just went across the street and used the one with the working pool, and they had their own restaurants and stuff there.
Should mention, paid for a cheaper hotel.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if we all agreed, but I would have gladly just went back. I liked that hotel enough that I would have went not worrying about money versus going to Florida for a week again. I liked it. I would have went to maybe Havana, but I will 100%.
After getting a little bit of perspective of driving to Florida this past week, I would be fine with going to Cuba again just because it's such a cost-effective way to get all inclusive.
Like getting there, that was fun. Going to Nashville and whatnot, getting there, that was a journey.
Yeah.
That was good.
Drive back.
Oh my God. Because already you're like, well, I don't really want to go back.
No. It takes up so much time of the trip. Like driving down there was fun. There was an anticipation to it. But driving back, okay, it was probably about 19 hours straight driving.
I'm sorry, I was tired.
That's okay.
I felt bad.
I see the way that it worked out is I took the first shift. We left there probably at what was it, like noon? Or maybe a bit earlier, like maybe
we
10.
checked out before 10:30, so we left probably left the sex shop at probably like 10:30.
We visited a sex shop
Condom knowledge.
in Florida, and it was so weird. We thought it was a bit strange because it was the only place we saw of its kind. And you know America is different when you walk in there as a Canadian, and like I get through the door, I'm the first one, and I see a cash register like at the other end. It's like literally 40
In the
like,
store.
like 40 feet away. It was way the hell away. The second I walked through the door, lady's like, ID, get your ID. In a sex shop?
You would think that you'd move the cash register closer to the door.
Yeah, well that too. But like she could see across the room, and she's questioning it if I'm 21, because you got to be 21 to go buy condoms and lube in the States, apparently.
Hey, out of all of us that went, you were the closest to 21.
I was. But holy crap, you're going to stop people from going in there and buying things to use on them their own...
Well, sexual health products, there should
Sure.
be no age
No.
to.
Even sex toys and stuff like that. Porn, if you want to argue porn has an age limit, fine.
Is there a
Well,
need?
kids have the internet, so they're way ahead of you on that one.
You pointed it out, and it's an odd thing to me. Is there a need, unless it's flavored, but then it's weird, for that semen scented anal lube?
Yeah, that was weird.
Because
It's a weird product.
why?
I don't know. Wouldn't you just use semen?
You would think. But then,
Well, I
if
guess
it's
then
just
you're finished.
scented, there's not. I don't think there's much merit there. I would get it if it was semen flavored, because I'm sure there's some people out
Sounds
there
so
that are
weird.
like, "Hey, let's make a semen pina colada.
I don't.
We'll call it a sina colada."
If you're into drinking semen, I don't think there's going to be a artificial alternative that works for you.
I have absolutely no idea.
Anyways, American sex shop. They're weird.
A little bit.
We left there about 10:30,
Yeah.
and I think we tried to divide it up to like each person drives about 6 to 6.5 hours. So I got the easy shift. I started at 10:30, and then I switched over.
I just couldn't fall asleep deep.
Tila
in
started
that.
driving, and then by the time you started driving, it was already like 1 in the
1:30.
morning. Yeah.
1:30.
So
And nothing was open. You couldn't get a McDonald's. You couldn't.
no, like, we have 24-hour McDonald's.
You would
and,
have
like,
thought in the
lots of stuff.
States, known
You'd think.
as.
And then, but all the places just closed the restaurant, and the drive-thru was the only thing that was open in some of them. And then later than that, everything's closed.
Yeah.
Also, McDonald's coffee in the States, I'm sorry, your coffee is shit. It is the worst coffee I've ever had in my life.
But the all year round dollar drinks. That's
That's
nice.
good. That's good. And the 20-piece chicken nuggets for
Or
$6.
the dollar cheeseburger. That's also nice.
Good value. Coffee, terrible. Oh my! Come to Canada, go to McDonald's and have our coffee. It's so much better. Unbelievably better. No, driving back was not fun at all.
Yeah, but the weather was weird too, because it didn't really get bad till we hit the border. It was fine driving.
Well, snow wise, no. You were trying to sleep through like the worst of it. It started raining when I was driving. I think when we just got into Tennessee, maybe a little bit after. Yeah, around Tennessee somewhere. And it didn't stop. Like, it was light outside, and it did not. And then as soon as it started getting dark and you're on the interstate highways where there's no lighting of any kind, I could see maybe 20 feet in front of me. And cars that had their taillights, if they're braking, I could see that maybe 50 feet away. So it was nerve-wracking for hours upon hours. And the rain did not stop until we got back to Canada, where it switched to hail and snow. And then people were in the ditch in Canada.
I mean, yeah. Price-wise, I mean, the drive, I would compare it to driving to PEI. And I was thinking about it because PEI, it was for work, and the drive there, it was time sensitive. We had to be there for the rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
On the drive back, we didn't have an explicit time, but the one thing that was different is we did stop for the night.
That makes a big difference.
And it split it up. I think we did half and half, or I think we did. No, we did on the drive home. We hung out in PEI a little bit. We went to Charlottetown and Anna Green Gables' house, and then we stayed in New Brunswick or whatever, and then drove for another 12 hours the next day. So kind of it was a decent split. It was kind of like the reverse on the way. But yeah, Days in Nashville. I haven't written the review, but holy shit.
Get your act together.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, the reviews, butcher's knife under the bed.
Yeah, somebody in the reviews said that, yeah, there was a butcher's knife that was just jammed, like, I'm guessing between the box spring and the mattress, and it's left
And
there.
our friend, our next door neighbor.
Yeah, we had somebody in the party door or whatever, like, come and knock on the door and then ask if we had knocked on the door. And he was standing there, I could see he was without a shirt.
Yeah, no shirt.
In his
I think he might
underwear.
have been wearing a towel.
Towel.
Did you knock?
Yeah.
No.
And he looked like if the answer was yes, he either was thinking he was going to have sex with somebody or sell drugs.
Sell drugs.
Most likely sell drugs. But he was naked, so I don't know. It's kind of an iffy thing.
Well, I know that once I had that happen, we didn't leave anything of value.
No.
To go for dinner.
No. That was...
Giant windows in the room didn't really...
Giant window. It was not good at all. Ugh.
But at this point, you already know because you saw.
Yeah.
We made sure they saw.
I mean, we didn't go into the bathroom, but...
I was.
Oh, I guess you were. Yeah. You fell right back in there at one point. Not good. My brother went to Cuba. He went to probably a hotel that was a little bit nicer than even the one we were at. He said they didn't have toilet seats in his room.
That's a common thing, actually.
Man, what do you... That must suck. You just squat above it.
I guess.
Ugh.
Oh, I mean,
I'd build one out of 2x4s or something.
I won't forget when we went to Cuba. I was nervous getting to the resort because we'd kind of picked it based on price.
Yeah.
And the last time I went to Cuba, similar resort, the rooms were iffy. That being said, at that time we had a single room, and I was hoping that it wasn't going to be bad. I mean, Tila had a lesser experience with her family in Dominican after we went to Dominican, so her bar for quality was lower,
Right.
and I didn't really care. And it was a nice enough room, nothing like in the States or anything like that. Nothing like the 5-star hotel in Jamaica.
No,
But
no.
it was nice enough. And again, for most stays, you're not in the room. I remember watching a lot of Naked and Afraid
Yeah.
or whatever we watched in Cuba.
Yeah, that was in the last couple of nights. They kind of put the money into where it counts. Like the room
Except
had
for the pool.
Yeah, but the room had a killer view. It didn't have a kitchen, so you didn't really expect much. But it had a modern air conditioning unit that was great. Kept the room nice and cold.
Good enough shower and toilet.
Yeah, no problem with those.
It was clean.
TV worked perfectly well. It was mostly modern TV, and it worked. It was no problem. Even though aesthetically, it still looked like it was trapped in like the late ¡80s.
Yeah, but that's any resort in Cuba.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have toilet seats.
No. I'm wondering if it really is worth it to try something that's 4 stars, 5 stars, even if it's significantly more, because it would be an interesting experience.
The 4 or 5 star in Cuba would still be cheaper than a lot of places,
which I would love to try. I think that'd be a cool thing.
I mean, if you saved up, if you took a year or two off from vacation and saved up and blew your load at a 5-star in Jamaica, you'd be spoiled.
Yeah.
Just unfriggin' believable. And for you, I think we've talked about this before, that resort in Jamaica, like 100 feet out, a reef for snorkeling.
I love that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Snorkeling was a big disappointment in Florida, because even in Cuba, I don't know, maybe I had more ambition there, but I would go out pretty far, just because there was lots to see. Once you could see like little it wasn't coral or anything like that, but there was like, what are they called, the little urchins, and there was tons of little conch shells and stuff like that. In Florida, it was just sand, and I couldn't see much, so it kind of deterred me from trying to swim out like 400 meters or something crazy, just because I was like, well, I could just put myself at risk of drowning and not see anything for it, because the surf was way more powerful. It was throwing me around every time I would go out there. Plus, from the shore, you'd occasionally, like on the first day Jill and I went walking, we saw dolphins jumping out of the water. And you could go to the pier and you could look down, and there were stingrays and there was lots to see. without even, and you can't even snorkel near the pier. Which if you could, I bet there's tons of marine life there to look at. That kind of
Yeah, stingrays, sharks, all that jazz. That'd be fun.
yeah, man. There was was that before the last podcast where we talked to that old guy? I guess we did. We mentioned him. Yeah, that was the same day. Dude, the old guy was telling us about the sharks that were in the area, which would be. I'd love to see sharks. That'd be so cool.
Melissa and I tried, but
I'd imagine they're probably closer to the bottom at that point, like near.
Well, they were saying I feel like you'd have to go to the pier
at nighttime.
At nighttime, which we did,
Yeah.
and you'd have to sit and wait to see if somebody were to catch
a shark.
Yeah, but that's when they apparently do it. It was nice to go to the pier. I don't know what type of fish they caught, and it was dark, so we didn't take any pictures. But they had landed something quite big and nice, so that's cool.
Deep sea fishing still something I haven't done, but I'd like to do.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
I pretend I'm a man. Some of the things I really like.
Just gotta get the picture right when you post to Instagram. Just like the big fishing rod in your hand, a cigar in your mouth.
Yeah.
I think
it's better than hunting.
Better than fishing's better.
Yeah,
oh, it's more
don't care as
no
much
people.
as
There's no ethical
fish.
concern with fishing for the most part, unless you do have somebody who's like a vegan or whatever.
Or if you accidentally catch a dolphin.
Well, you don't want to catch a dolphin. You don't want to be that guy.
Or turtle.
Or turtle.
But
you like turtles.
That's one of the things I was really impressed about. You're not allowed to catch turtles, but if you do hook one and you follow, and this is in Panama City Beach, if you follow their procedures, there's no penalty.
No.
Because they want the turtle to be safe. It's better than killing it and hiding it.
What did they say if you get it off say you get up there, you get it off the hook, however procedure, what do?
You have to call.
You have to call.
Yeah.
And they'll come and pick it up and bring it back?
They'll make sure that it's okay.
Yeah, because obviously you don't want to throw it like 20 feet into the water. Yeah. It would not be good for the turtle.
Well, it'd be hiding at that point.
I wonder. I know maybe it's fresh. Well, I guess those are. Yeah,
I
those are
caught
turtles.
People
eat tortoise in the States, I think.
I caught a turtle fishing once.
Caught a turtle, really, in Canada.
Yeah. Just a little.
Well,
it was in Lake Lisgar, in my hometown.
A
We're fishing for carp.
A tortoise, then, like not flippers.
Oh, a tortoise. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say I don't think there's freshwater turtles, are there?
I've always called. I suppose I've been
Yeah, a lot of people seem to get on people's nerves with that. I don't know. I know that there's a distinction. I'm just wondering if there's a fresh. It would make sense somewhere in the world, but I feel like as a biologist, I should know if there's freshwater turtles.
I think there are, because snapping turtles, and they have legs.
They do call them turtles. They're not snapping tortoises. Yeah. Okay. Good point. Common snapping turtle.
I've seen snapping turtles too in Lake Lisgar.
I've most of my encounters with snapping turtles, I've just been walking in like a forest. I guess between ponds probably, but
Lake Erie, going up to our cottage, sometimes you'd see these giant friggin' snapping turtles on the side of the road. And my dad, younger, would get out and you'd watch, and the friggin' turtle's shell, that far.
Oh, they're huge.
Friggin' huge.
I guess most of what I see, they're turtles. They're not like there's painted turtles, which are probably the most common around here.
See, turtle.
Yeah, it's a turtle. It's not a tortoise. Turtle. So now I'm gonna do the opposite thing to see if I've ever seen a tortoise in the wild. And I'm gonna search up Ontario tortoise because I'm thinking maybe I have never seen one. Maybe that's just a thing. How do I identify 8 species of turtles? Yeah, no. It appears that you can buy a tortoise for like a what do they call a little terrarium, like a one as a pet. But no, apparently there's none up here. We don't have tortoises, so they're all turtles. Interesting thing. I'm trying to think of was it on Joe Rogan or somebody? But there was some podcast where they were talking about how the Galapagos used to have this specific breed of tortoises that were like these giant ones, and they're all gone now. They all went extinct, but they used to live like up near, was it volcanic structures or mountains or something? I don't know. I wonder how big they were, because they were describing as if you could like sit on the things. They were so big. I'm gonna look up giant.
Some of them, even the non-giant ones, can get quite big.
So these are clearly alive, and there's pictures of them. So maybe there's something called a giant tortoise that isn't what I'm thinking about. says it can be these tortoises can weigh as much as 919 pounds.
Holy crap!
And it can grow to 1.3 meters or 4'3" in length. That's huge.
Really big.
Well, I mean, that's very dense too. 4'3" is like the height of a large kid.
Now, yeah, but now is that shell length or from like fin to fin, like head to tail? Like, what's the?
I don't say. It says that the islands Atoll, Seychelles, that's over by Africa. The Galapagos Islands, yeah. So I guess that's the ones they were talking about. But
giant tortoise on Wikipedia.
So these aren't extinct. The Galapagos tortoises are related to Ecuador mainland tortoises. I'm gonna click that link to see if what I heard is BS or not. This is a good opportunity to learn about tortoises. Remote archipelagos due to West Ecuador. They're it's kind of cool how it makes sense for Wikipedia, but you can read the kingdom, phylum, class, or I'll go all down the list, and it brings me right back to being in biology because I had a couple of zoology courses where you would have to. Actually, it was more like entomology courses where you're studying insects. They'd make you memorize specific fact, like if you were talking about a grasshopper, you'd have to be able to identify it down to its family or whatever. And it's hard with insects, I would say, because the distinguishing features between, I don't know if I guess we would have to go down to species in some case, but you have to like look at their legs and like the amount of jointed pieces in their legs and stuff would be the distinguishing feature, or like the shape of like wings or something. There's just the most minute things, or even like dragonflies. They have those veiny looking structures in their wings. Those are specific to certain species in some cases. So you'd have to like look under a big like kind of like a microscope. I forget what we call them, but you'd have to look at the exact structures of them until you could tell the difference between different species just by like this one curves up here, but this one has two pieces that curve down. Super specific. It's not like you can do that with anything large scale. Like if you could tell the difference between monkeys just by looking at them or
I have to say, talking about bugs.
Bugs, yeah.
Not a bug, and we'll put it up on the screen for the wonderful people to see. But your picture of that spider, killer.
In Florida.
Yeah.
It was a pretty... Did somebody capture a video of that
I think
of the spider?
did.
Of me trying to get... So basically, I try to go all out if I'm trying to get like a macro shot.
I was good. I was happy not taking a photo.
Usually people just stand above an insect or whatever.
Now that being said, looking at the spider, I don't think she would have run because it looked like she had eggs.
Yeah, it seemed to have some kind of egg sac on the back of its abdomen.
But she would have got vicious if she had to protect.
Yeah, but basically I got right down on the dirt.
I got attacked by ants.
Yes, well you stepped in an ant pile, so what do you expect? At least they weren't fire ants.
No, but they were still. I had bites all over my leg.
Yeah,
vicious fuckers.
I mean, it sounded a little bit crazy, but I've done that on purpose before because there was some macro shot I needed to get, and I literally laid down on my side with my camera sideways, and somewhere before I took the shot, I was like, I'm on an anthill, and I'm like, well, too late. I stayed there until I got the shot, and then when I got up, there was like 100 ants on me, and I was just like, God. Got back in my house, tried to clear them all off, still kept finding ants for like a day. No, the spider one I was using my 35mm lens, which for anybody who's not too into cameras, it's a standard lens. It's fairly wide. It's not the kind of thing you could stay back and get really close with, but basically I had macro tubes on there and I got really, really close. Basically my lens was almost touching the spider at that point. I think since Jesse's got to cut to the thing, at least you can see how close it is.
Yeah, we'll show. There's video and photo, which we probably already. It's a weird thing.
The video is going to be more difficult to acquire because it could be buried and stuff. But at least the photo is already edited and published at this point in time.
It'll be a raw video on Tila's camera.
Yeah, fine. If we can get it.
Okay. I am gonna, because we've been talking for a good amount of time.
Yeah. We're gonna
segue into something.
Okay, this is you're making a phone call. Ooh. So there was a topic that came up on a podcast in the past,
a few weeks ago.
a few weeks ago, and it had to do with Jesse's girlfriend. Possibly,
we're retracting a statement.
We're retracting a statement. Possibly,
pick up.
Well, she's gonna be busy.
Pick
Jesse,
up.
Jesse was under the belief that she believed something that wasn't necessarily true. Oh, I hope we get her. Nope. Okay, we gotta tell a story without her now.
Well,
what? How much? Okay, this is meta. How much did you include? What do we know? What's bringing me up to speed?
What did I include in what? We talked about. I mean, Melissa, the woman I'm dating, being a flat earther, me coming to terms with that, comparing it.
So basically, she said she made a comment that made it sound like she believed in the flat Earth, and you were like, "I'm okay with this."
Well, I'll give her a second, but I'll let her words confirm. The whole idea was she was the first person I had met that believed the Earth was flat. First off, but out of all the videos I've seen online, she was also the only reasonable person I've ever met. So it floored me. She believed the Earth was flat.
Now, do you think that's deceptive on the part of just our own consciousness of trying to group people into being crazy just because they seem to think the Earth is flat? Because I'm sure there's lots of doctors who have crazy beliefs, and there's rocket scientists who are, praising the spaghetti monster for all intents and purposes.
They thought, I mean, most great inventions, somebody, and not that you can invent a flat Earth, but most discoveries at some point somebody thought was crazy. I mean, it'd be absolutely amazing if at some point we, for some reason, they ended up being right. But
about the Earth being flat.
That'd be the biggest "I told you so." But
well, then what do you trust after that? And the whole thing's like the government's lying to you, whatever.
Well, yeah, but how
it's
do you get proof?
I guess you have to go to space and fly around the planet, or either over it, and then you can make a determination.
Nah.
If she didn't answer the first two times, I don't know if we're gonna get her.
Anyways, we will get confirmation because I want to embarrass her because I haven't already enough.
We got to stay on topic though.
Oh, I know.
So we got to keep talking about it.
I went through the biggest, because after talking to you, and at the end, after the show was done, little behind the scenes info, we agreed to some extent. When did you tell Tila?
Okay, so we decided to keep this a secret from Tila because Tila will not be able to keep her mouth shut.
Because we mentioned we had to be in the car for 36 combined hours.
So we wanted to not make things boil over. We wanted to investigate this further first to just understand what the situation was. But Tila knew that there was something. So I kept her in suspense. It's kind of fun to do.
It is fun to screw with her.
And then I told her pretty much right after we got back, I would say.
And she said, no, right?
She didn't believe, but I said that I didn't really necessarily believe it either. Like, it seems crazy. But I was like, I guess maybe. And she didn't want to. Because the idea was, during the trip, I kept subtly bringing up the topic of flat
every
Earth.
time you did, Tila would make a joke unknowingly
about.
I would look at Melissa and I'd be like,
looking for some kind of reaction.
She hasn't been triggered.
Now, Melissa didn't, she would stay a little bit more quiet. She didn't join into every conversation. But I was really hoping she would just butt in at some point and be like, well, actually, the Earth might be flat because of this or something.
Yeah.
But
so
she didn't.
At the end of the trip, I was thinking, because I was still like, I don't want conflict. If you truly believe it, I don't want conflict later about something like that. And it's only going to come up a handful of times in your life. Like when you have kids, what do you do?
What do you teach them? You pull out the globe or what do you pull out a map? Yeah.
Right?
What do you do?
So I did seriously, since the last podcast, it was on the back of my mind. I'm like, can I do this? And I should have just friggin' asked, but I asked twice. I told her to come clean.
Yeah.
Shows how much she thought of it.
She didn't care.
Because she didn't friggin' care. And this is the retraction, obviously, at this point. This just in, the woman I'm dating believes, you will get confirmation, that the Earth is round.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
It's a good prerequisite.
So I talked to her because I knew that podcast was coming up, and I didn't want to edit it because it seems stupid to edit something like that out, because we don't. I mean, we have to do a little bit of edit to episode 8, and that's to save somebody. But for something like that, it's a good conversation, and it just happened, and there was passion, and so
we're creating drama on this show. That's what it is.
So we were sitting beside each other, and I said, so I have to ask something, and we need to talk about it. And it was the first time that I ever kind of said we need to talk, and I said, things are great, but just so you know that when and if we have kids together and they're in school, schools don't and have not taken up teaching what you believe. She was looking at me like, what?
What?
And I said, most of the time they'll mention like the Earth isn't flat, and they teach that it's round.
That's so good. Because
she's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I said, is the Earth round or flat? And she said, round. And I'm like,
so what exactly did she say when she was implying that the Earth was flat the first time?
We had just taken beach photos in Port Dalhousie to prepare for Florida.
Yeah.
We got back, and I'm editing in Lightroom to show her, and there was a lens distortion that made the curvature of the Earth round. So I said, we will fix the distortion so we get a flat skyline so it looks like the Earth is flat. Uh-huh. And she said, well, it is flat. And I'm like, what?
And was that it?
No. She's like, well, it's flat. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, go back to editing. So I'm like, oh, okay. So we go back to editing. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, it's been 5 minutes.
Wait, the horizon is flat. Give or take a few millionths of a degree in that case.
So still editing. And then after 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, any type of humor in that joke is gone. It's been 10 minutes. So I turn to her and I'm like, the joke's been done? Like, there's no laughing at this point. It's not an ongoing joke. Is the Earth round or flat? And she said flat. And that's when I was like, oh, shit. And then, because I don't know, I haven't listened to it, but we must have started talking about something, because that next podcast I brought it up. I needed to talk to somebody about it.
Mm-hmm.
So what had happened is she was screwing with me.
Yeah, clearly.
And then forgot to say, ha ha, this is a joke. It's rude. So seriously, for like 2 weeks, funny. I was thinking
you might be dating Flat Earth.
Earther. Which
at least you get to go to all those awesome Flat Earth conventions. I'm sure those are fun. Yeah. We should look to see if there's any in the region.
We need to. I've been thinking more about it. We need to interview Jehovah's Witness at a hooker.
A Jehovah's Witness? Oh yeah, that'd be pretty good. Now you'd think it'd be really easy to get one, seeing as they just come to your door.
That's what
but
we had talked about.
But they haven't really come to here for a long time.
I need your verbal confirmation.
Maybe because it's too cold outside. I think probably Jehovah's Witness coming to your door probably a lot more frequent in the summertime. Funny how that is.
I did tell her we were shooting the podcast, so I wonder if she's wondering if I am
trying to set her up,
because she knows what we're talking about. Yeah. But I keep sending her Earth emoticons. And
are there flat emoticons?
Well, they are flat.
Well, but is it a circle or is it like a square?
Circle.
Okay.
But I keep sending her Earth emoticons, and then occasionally I'll send her Earth emoticons next to pancakes. Flat Earth. It's funny. And then every so often I'll be like, is the Earth flat? And she's like, no, it's round. So
double checking.
Thank God.
Are there any photos that you took in Florida that you would point out as being some of your favorites? Because you pointed out my spider one. I kind of like it myself. It's probably one of my favorites.
The only one that I really, really like. Well, there's two that I really like. There's one at the conservation area where the two paths divide.
Diverge, yeah.
And I don't know. I just like it.
I thought it was a decent photo. It's composed exactly how I'd probably compose it myself if I was to take it.
And then I'm a sucker for sunsets.
I've seen, there's one, the only one, no, there's one where you're standing up further on the
there's one
the stairs.
There's one that I got,
which I took like the same photo as that because I think we were standing in the same place. I didn't really like the way mine turned out.
The one that I'm talking about is my lower shot. Let's see, do I have it on my phone? I have it on Facebook, but I don't know. It's got the waves.
Cut to that photo right now.
Like how we're narrating the cuts. I guess it's good. But
you need lots of the podcast. You put in reminders. It makes sense. It's I like that one a lot. No, it really captures the motion of the waves. I guess we can sort of review this. It almost tends to follow the rule of thirds a little bit. You almost want to push the horizon up a little bit higher, in my opinion, because there isn't too much going on in the sky once it transitions to the just the blue sky, and that way you would get a little bit more of the sand in it, which the tones in the sand and the way that reflects the sun is actually really nice. You can tell quite a lot of saturation and a lot of color. There's a lot of color there.
And then I did get another sunset one, but I think it was because there was a...
Oh, are we getting...
Yeah.
Nice, we're getting a call.
Hello?
Hello? Hi.
Hi.
You rang?
Yes,
4 times?
Yes, I did. It's very important, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. Are you
Okay.
Are you nourished?
I am nourished.
You are nourished?
I am nourished.
Okay. Melissa,
Yes.
is the Earth round or flat?
Why are you asking me this right now?
Is the Earth round or flat?
The earth is round.
There you have it, folks. Confirmation that Melissa says the Earth is round. You are live on the podcast.
I figured.
And by
Yes.
live, we mean heavily delayed.
Yes,
Hi, Melissa.
It'll be airing in like 4 weeks. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted your verbal confirmation so people know I'm not dating a crazy person, at least in that
flat
sense.
earther.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
I will talk to you later, you non-flirter.
Flirting.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And there's her cameo.
there
Tia
we
had
have
a
it.
cameo. Melissa had one.
We can actually have them on the podcast. That is an option.
That's true too. No, the other one that I took, I like the sunset one. I'm gonna get a print of the sunset one because I like. I don't know. I like my big prints.
No, it would work out pretty well on a big print, I would think.
But I got another.
Especially a metallic print from one like that. That'd be you need to go to like Adorama or somebody for the
I
print like
got
that.
connections for metallic too.
Somebody local with metallic prints. Ooh.
And
Kinda
this
interested.
one only because of the. I'm not a giant fan of the photo. Again, we'll put it up here.
Sure.
But the fact that I was able to get the guy in the sky.
Guy in the sky. Oh, you got in the top right corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a guy that's parasailing. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't have the 7200 because I could have focused on him in the sky. But I still prefer my other sunset one. But at least I got one of him.
I did something similar to that. I think I posted on Facebook already.
This
but
is the one that you were talking about where you're not a giant fan.
yeah, I didn't like it.
The sun was okay.
I posted one similar to Facebook that was like the paradrumper where it was this. I caught a plane in the,
I
in
saw
the
that
top
one.
when I was on the dock, and it was really close. It just so happened to work.
I like this one too.
Yeah, The trees in the conservation area are very interesting because they all look like they're clones of each other.
I feel like that conservation area was devastated by forest fire because the way the trees are, it looks like they have been replanted.
They purposely burned sections of it. Clearly, they definitely planted some of them in rows, but even the areas where it was more staggered and it looked like it had naturally grown like that, the trees were all the same, and that they didn't start growing any needles or leaves until like about 30 feet up, and then they fill out like normal, but they all looked the exact same. All the bark was the same. I'm sure they were the same species. It was kind of weird. There wasn't the same kind of biodiversity as far as trees go. But then there was small sections of forest where it would be very dense and there'd be a big mix. But for the most part, all the same tree.
I like the sheer happiness in Tila's face.
She's got like 3 chins.
Yeah,
there.
I know. That's why she probably doesn't like the photo as much.
Now we got to show that one too.
Yeah,
All
sorry.
right, I'm gonna write down the timestamp. The timestamps for this are hardly even gonna be effective.
We're talking about it. I'll know. Oh shit! I gotta put this photo.
Tila making 3 chins on her face.
There's cool Eric with his beer
and a Panama City Beach hat.
It looks like such an old man hat. People make fun of me.
It's not a good hat, but it's the only. We went to the store.
Oh, cue Eric drinking his beer in the Panama Beach hat.
It was a dollar store that we went to, and its gimmick is everything's $1, and if you buy 12 things, you pay $10. So it's less than $1 if you buy 12.
Or
things.
if you buy 4 things, it's $3.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, they didn't tell me about that one.
I bought
Sneaky.
I bought a beer koozie for my father.
Yeah.
A set of that fishing string for my stepmom, and one for me, because I like the nautical look.
Yeah.
I got up to the cash. He's like, "You better go get another beer koozie." I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah.
And then I turned around and I got another one, and then it was $3.07 or whatever.
Nice.
Like, obviously, I don't understand why you couldn't. I would have been perfectly happy paying $3. Like
for 3 things. Stuff was cheap, but the main issue I had with the hat was there was lots of hats. I liked the design of some of them, but none of the ones I liked fit because they only came in one size.
Make America Great Again hat.
Maybe.
There was that was a weird thing too, because we were in Cuba where there wasn't any American stuff, but there was real, like, legitimate Trump campaign stuff. The "Make America Great Again" signs on the back of the go-kart.
Yeah,
that's not stuff you get here, obviously.
No, yeah, there was definitely.
But it was all authentic.
It is.
And then talking to some of those people, the guy we talked to in the pool, I mean, he was an older guy, so probably not. But you could have walked by people who voted for Trump and whatnot and thought he's great.
Half the country did.
Allegedly.
Maybe
less than half the country did.
Okay, out of the people who voted, about half did.
And then some of the Russians.
Yeah, allegedly. Some Russians did. Nah, it's not that crazy. The dollar store, I'm thinking too, I should have bought a bunch of glasses because they would sell nice polarized glasses for $1. Here that'd be like $15 at Walmart. I could have bought 12 pairs of glasses, sold them for $10 each on Kijiji for the next couple of months, and made a good profit. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, that dollar store is interesting in what it brings in, because there were shot glasses that said Spring Break 2015. So they've been sitting there for a while. Years. And yeah, I guess at that point, they're worth $1.
Yeah. But lots of them are just normal touristy stuff. And they would sell like seashells and other things like that.
Tila has a weird way of describing things. This isn't a bash on Tila episode. But that being said,
it's every episode.
Driving back with her in the car, listening to the podcast, talking about her car accident, and then her getting, I don't want to say triggered, but her laughing, being like, "I hate you guys," is great because it's funny. And funny. Then episode 8, we do it again.
Yeah.
We're drunk.
Oh, God.
So it's good because since she's listening, she might as well feel like she's interacting. But she gets me all excited. Like today at the show. But
we went to a vendor show today. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, we were the only photography-related service that was there.
No, it would have been so bad if there was another one. There's
small town.
Not enough business to go around.
It was in Port Colborne, so
yeah.
It's kind of not the most upscale thing. It was in a school gymnasium, but it was a good enough event. I would say there's 2 leads. I'm kind of confident that they might go somewhere. Yeah.
So no, Tila's like, oh, they have a Jaws ashtray.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I have to see it. No, it's an ashtray with a poorly designed shark. Doesn't say Jaws or anything.
Or today at the vendor show, when she said they've got Margaritaville cupcakes.
Yeah,
Because a vendor had cupcakes.
They did have margarita cupcakes, but there is a distinct, it's
Margaritaville versus the drink that everybody knows as a
which
margarita.
means you have lime flavored cupcakes.
Yeah, which doesn't sound that appealing.
Well, they had
Which is oddly enough. Yeah, oddly enough, lemonade cupcakes. I'd like that. Lime cupcakes.
Well, lemon loaf. They have like lemon poppy seed loaf. So
yeah, that's good.
That makes sense.
I like lemon in my cake. Lime. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for that jump.
It was neat. Your cellular limit exceeded.
Oh yeah, all the time. No, I do this thing where I don't have. I only have a gig of data every month, and what I tend to do is I'll set the limit to just 10 megabit or 10 megabyte increments. So let's just say I'm at 300 megabytes of usage. I'll just bump it up to 310, use it till it stops, and then I'll up it again. If I get really annoyed at it and I just hit resume, it'll start going over my data limit, which is not it's a theoretical data limit that I put there. It's not the actual one set by the cell provider. It's just a way of keeping it in check. How much data do you get in a month? 2 gigs?
And I never go over.
I've gone over.
Holy shit, though. Does gaming bring up your data or your internet? Justin does. I mean,
on the Xbox?
Yeah.
It's probably because he has to constantly download and update his stuff.
Well,
because actually,
the
peer-to-peer
streaming too, because he'll stream.
Streaming, yes.
He'll stream his stuff on Twitch. Unbelievable.
That's a lot of usage. You need an unlimited package if you're going to stream.
And I like the unlimited. It was quick internet before, so good on Kojiko. Little bit shady on the way they advertised the unlimited. Because the price was for new customers only.
Yeah, Bell does it too.
But I feel like, I mean, now I'm at the problem, because for years with them, they would always give me a discount because they always do a courtesy call. And a courtesy call, they'd be like, well, is there anything that would make your service better? And because I was living by myself,
cheaper.
I would say, no, I mean, I had 175 gigs. I said, I'm by myself. I need it quick for what I do.
Yeah.
But I don't need 175 gigs. So it'd always be like, well, actually, we can do this. So they lower the price and lower the gigs to a package that doesn't technically exist.
Okay.
Or did they? No, they actually just lowered the price. The gigs stay the same.
Yeah, I don't think.
Because I would never go to that.
Yeah.
Then as soon as Justin moved in, which is
goes
fine.
up.
Holy crap, did it go up quick.
Now, gaming itself, like peer-to-peer, if it's, let's say you're playing a first-person shooter, and you're not downloading anything for like updating the console or whatever, it's not a lot of usage. You probably could stay within that cap. Being in a household with my 2 other brothers, as soon as we all started using, like, we had torrents and stuff going and lots of other just things downloading constantly, including updating games. Oh yeah, you can hit 600 gigs in a month, easy. And that was back then. I'm sure you could. There's lots more data-heavy things now that you could do with your internet service.
Yeah.
So unlimited's the way to go.
I think unlimited is the way to go for most people nowadays.
Yeah, but nobody offers it for cell service. That's the thing. Even if you wanted to pay.
Well, they do, but they'll throttle.
Yeah. Well, I guess Freedom kind of does, but yeah.
But yeah. Tila had, or does she still have unlimited? She had unlimited at one.
She has it, yeah.
Okay, she has unlimited, but her scope of use is very limited. That's what I don't. We talked about how we
Freedom,
don't like Freedom
is like I looked at the.
God forbid she uses her phone in Tilsonburg.
Oh, nowhere. Fuck. We were on the way to Port Colborne. She dropped service. It's useless. When she was buying her phone, they were we were in the mall and they're telling her all this stuff about it, and then at the end of it all, like she was asking my opinion. I'm like, that sounds like a really good deal. I don't know. I'm like, I would go with that. That's pretty reasonable. In practicality, no. Why even have a phone? You can make calls anywhere you would need to.
Exactly.
If you live in Toronto and you don't have a car and you stay in the city like 96% of the time, yeah, Freedom might work for you. Maybe. But it doesn't make sense otherwise. I don't think.
Now, if Freedom wants to sponsor us, I'll take a Freedom plan.
Set me up with a Google Pixel 2 XL, and yeah, I'll go with Freedom.
Yeah. I'm a whore. I'll do it. I mean, that would be a big experiment for me.
All to use Freedom. Oh, you get to switch from an iPhone?
Yeah.
Oh. What if we switch? What if we make a documentary about switching?
That'd be interesting.
Linus has done it a million times.
I don't know if I could. I get confused.
Linus from Linus Tech Tips.
I've been screwing around with. Oh, that's something that happened.
What happened?
See that they broke their iMac Pro.
No.
Okay. Happened in the week. They bought the new iMac Pro during their tear down. They fucked up the screen. It cracked.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
They tried to get it repaired. The Apple Store can't get it repaired, so they had to take it to an ASP, Apple Service Provider.
Yeah.
The Apple Service Provider, not all, if any, have been upgraded to provide service for the iMac Pro.
So they don't have parts for it yet.
They don't have parts, and because you have to be certified to do work on it, not everybody is certified to work on them yet.
Okay.
So currently, at least earlier in the week, Apple couldn't do anything. They could
So
not.
they didn't service their products. That's crazy.
Yeah, and there was another big controversy. There was a lot of people saying, "Oh, da 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 da." So I went to, again, we had mentioned I'm at Beatty's. I went to my Apple Service Provider, and I said, if somebody had a broken iMac Pro screen, could they bring it in? He's like, I did the test. I'm certified as long as I can get the parts, which he couldn't check because he didn't know specifically what was wrong.
Yeah.
But Linus had said, comment in the forums if you know how we can do this. So I did. He didn't reply.
No.
But I did say, hey, I have a guy who said, like, he did his training.
Ship out a screen to BC. But it doesn't matter if he did his training, because I feel like Linus, or like literally anybody who employs, you get the part, they're going to fix it. I feel like I, not Apple certified, could figure out the ins and outs of a Mac. It's not that hard. I'd be much, much more frightened to take apart something like a lot of cameras or lenses. Like, some of them you just can't mess with. But
I've watched this guy take apart iMacs.
Yeah.
They're so, even watching him take off the screen, the screen is glued on.
Yes. Just like in cell phones.
Yeah, and watching him go around, it's such an interesting process.
Does he use like a heat gun to soften the glue and then pry it?
Yeah, and then pry it off, and then he has to reapply glue strips.
Yep.
And then just watching him do it is really neat. But when he pulls the screen off and unplugs, they really do make use of every inch of the computer.
Absolutely. There's a lot of electronics like that, but it's I don't know, something
Apple
about the way
announced that their Mac Pro, which people have been waiting out for, not the iMac Pro, but the reboot of that trash can Mac from
the
2012
desktop
or whatever,
Mac
isn't coming out in 2018.
No,
it's not going to come out till 2019.
They've always done this. They've made a really, really powerful rig for like video editors and people that just have the really high demands. It's a desktop computer like you would get with a Windows, like a desktop PC. But they'll come up with that, and maybe they'll refresh it a little bit for a while, and then they toss it to the side. It happens again and again. And then you have all the people that use the Mac Pro come out and say, they wish they'd get a new one, how they're switching to Windows or whatever for a while. And then the new one comes out and everybody's happy again, because it, again, will be the fastest machine in Adobe Premiere, or it'll be, set up to run specific applications better than just about anything else.
That iMac Pro is sexy though.
Yeah.
Expensive.
But it's a heavily optimized machine. It would outperform a lot of Windows computers that were about the same price for a long time. And then
they did run a report saying that machine component wise actually doesn't have the Apple tax.
Doesn't have it?
No.
Yes, because due to optimization. Yeah, those machines I would say are probably the closest to. There's not a lot of markup on them, I would say. Like their laptops and stuff, absolutely. You pay for the brand a lot, but with the Pro stuff, no. It is among the best of the best, and you're getting what you're paying for.
But again, you pay for the brand. That MacBook Pro that I have, I've had for over 7 years.
They're well built. Nobody argues with that. Build quality of Apple products are second to none, pretty much. I mean, there's a few examples in the people manufacturing stuff for the Windows side, but it's Apple. Nobody denies that Apple's good at build quality. That's for sure.
I think that was $11.99. So over the course of 7 years, that's an affordable laptop, and it's still going.
Yeah.
So
and to be fair, I think a lot of Windows machines from the same age, the cost of the same price, could probably still be going. Although I feel like their life cycle is a lot more limited for a couple of reasons. One, I mean, a lot of the designs are just tacky looking. Apple's always had a pretty good looking design, so people can probably stand to look at it a little bit longer. And two, I think maybe just the mindset of different users, their upgrade cycle is a little bit different. I don't know, like I see people that have new laptops like every 2 years, but a lot of people with Macs, I don't know, I see them updating less. Well, but maybe that was also because of the mentality before with Apple, where you could get small incremental upgrades here and there, whereas Windows, you had to buy the new disc or whatever when it came out.
Well, yeah,
5 years later.
Apple's always has been good about doing the small upgrades, or like the operating system upgrades and whatnot, and just releasing it. And that's how they can get away with their advertising, saying that, hey, OS X is the most upgraded operating system. More people have upgraded to us than people have upgraded to Windows 10 or whatever, just because they can say that. But yeah, when it's a click of a button and it's free, it's good.
Now things have been changing for a long time, because ever since Windows 8 came out, updates have basically been free as long as you're a Windows user. I think if you have Windows 7, even if you had Vista, I'm not sure, but if you have Windows 7, you could upgrade to 8, and that became 8.1, you could upgrade for free. Windows 10 came out, you could upgrade for free. As long as you have one of those old, you had the old Windows or whatever.
Yeah, but that's good. That's.
I like it, yeah.
Although it is... Sorry.
They got to make money somehow. I don't know how much. The software division of Microsoft, I'm sure, was taking in a killing. Same like IBM and stuff.
Yeah,
they all make their money.
That was the difference, right? They're now giving away their software not for free, but they're giving away an upgrade. With the reason why Microsoft, and this is no big revelation, but the reason why Microsoft did so well is they were one of the first companies to realize, hey, there's money in software.
Yes.
And that's why they licensed it out to other manufacturers, and that's how they made their money. But now they are, I mean, there's still licensing agreements and whatnot, but they did
it's a smart tactic
strategy that way.
Yeah.
And I think the Apple, I like the idea of using Apple products for a lot longer. It does bite Apple in the ass a little bit, because
they managed to surpass that with the phones, it seems.
They did, but you can still tell.
Although, yeah, I guess there was controversy now with the iPhone 10, where people are just like, why would I upgrade now? Like they have the iPhone 8, and they're like, you're going to bring out a new one, and you've already told me it's going to be out? Like, what do you...
There's no secret there. Like I said, with the Mac Pro, people were waiting because they thought it would be announced this year.
Yeah.
It's a guarantee that the next iPhone is announced this year.
Yes.
And it'll go on sale this year. So waiting out is fine, and they theorize, and it always made sense to me. A lot of news articles are saying that the iPhone X is being killed.
Yes.
Due to bad sales. But I always thought that it was only going to be a limited time product because it's the 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be around forever.
No, and we knew that from the start, I would say.
In fact, I would assume that it's the iPhone X, and then we'll get the iPhone 9, and then eventually we'll get the iPhone 10.
And they could even take the concept of the iPhone X and make it some kind of...
I hope they do.
Cheap phone like the 5C was or whatever. Just a cheap version.
I hope they are working or hard at work doing the in-glass fingerprint reader.
Yeah, that'd be different. So you don't want a button on your phone anymore, do you?
Well, I when I upgrade, because my upgrade cycle is a lot longer than most people. I hold on to my phones as long as I can.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was with the 4. That being said, so the 4, there was the 4S, the 5, the 5S, and the 6.
Yep.
You can upgrade every 2 years. I went 4 years, which, I mean, that
It's
makes
a
sense.
long time. Apple's forgotten about you by the time you upgrade 4 years later.
Yeah.
No, you don't get app support or anything.
It was more than 4 years. No, it was 4 years, but that release cycle. Okay, so I got it in 2012, and at that point, the iPhone 4 wasn't the newest one, but it was an iPhone. It was what I got. So I'm always slightly behind the time, but every time I upgrade, it's a whole new world. I went from the 4 to the 6. It's awesome. And then going from the 6, I mean, if I'm going in increments of 4 or 2, I guess at that point, every 4 years.
Became the math podcast.
I guess the iPhone 8 is my next one at some point. Or should I go Plus? The Plus is really big.
I like a bigger phone. I mean, it's a bit... Just being able to type, period, because I swipe text stuff, so it makes sense for me to be able to move my finger, be a little bit more precise with it.
2016 is when I got the 6, so I guess I have 2 more years. 2020.
You're gonna wait 2
summer of this one. I mean, it all depends on what happens, but the September 2018.
Now, really, a rational human being should probably take into consideration factors like, is there actually some kind of tangible benefit? And unless it's just a pleasure thing, like I want a newest iPhone because it makes me feel happy to look at the way they did the UI on this one or something. But really, cell phones, what more can they give us at this point, other than just faster and a little bit prettier looking? And because what is it going to be able to access that your current iPhone can't? What is it going to be able to do for you? Your current one can't.
If they show me some unbelievable augmented reality shit.
But that's something the Pixel's trying to do, where you can translate signs and all that kind of stuff.
You show me something like that this phone can't do. Yeah, it's a little bit shallow, but again, now to Justin's credit, he waited it out.
I think we have a 60D dead.
So Justin was always a quick updater. I've never met somebody who had more phones than him. And they would never break. He would just update. And
what would he do? Trade in his phone to the
for the longest time. I mean, 10 years ago it was those pay-as-you-go phones, so it would just be a upgrade thing with Rogers. And then he did have an iPhone for a while, and then he went Android. So his rate of upgrade, for whatever reason, has been slower. I think it's more financial. Phones are a little bit more expensive now.
They're getting up there.
And I always thought I'm never the one to go out and upgrade just because I can for free. But
if you can for free, then why not?
Because it's not really free. If I'm upgrading, if the next free phone, I think right now in the Apple lineup, the next free phone might be the 7.
Oh, you mean... Okay, I thought maybe it was like an incentive from Rogers.
Well, no, it's an out of contract. Like, once you're out of contract, you can upgrade for free.
But then it adds money to your bill.
Yeah, if the next phone you want is free, but I think Justin got the iPhone 7, which is the next Rogers free phone.
Yeah.
So why go through the hassle? And eventually, because you're upgrading, you may not necessarily get the same plan, so it's going to end up being more expensive. They want you to upgrade because if your plan no longer exists, they want you to upgrade to a new plan.
Yeah.
So
phase you out.
I wait 3 years, I wait 4 years. And then instead of getting the iPhone 7 for free, I'll get the iPhone 9 or whatever. So I don't really have a strategy. If I want it, I'll get it. But like you said, it does what I need it to.
Yeah.
And it does it well.
That's what I was considering spending a lot more money on, like on the Pixel 2, because that was what was out at the time when I needed a phone. And I ended up settling for just an Asus Zenfone. It's one of the... It has a really big battery. I forget what it is. I think it's 5,000 milliamp hours and whatever. Zenfone, I don't know. I don't know what my phone's called. But just because I couldn't justify, like, what does the Pixel do that this thing doesn't? because there's lots of complaints about little things like the Pixel screen could have been better than it was, and you know, the camera was pretty kick-ass. That's undeniable. But for the most part, there's nothing more that I needed to do. I don't feel like I'm lacking for power, even though I think it came to just over $300 for this phone. It's
not bad.
Yeah. And I always buy all my phones out of contract. I've never gotten the deal that subsidizes your little plan. Yeah, it works perfectly fine for what I need it to do. And there's another market that's crashed, the tablet market. Everybody's already got a tablet kind of thing.
And that's one where nobody really upgrades.
No.
Apple now, a lot of the reviews are saying it's the best budget. They just relaunched their iPad. It's not an iPad Air. It's not an iPad Pro. It's just the iPad.
When did they do that?
A month and a half ago.
Okay.
And it is.
Is it light like the Air?
No, I mean it's built around the like standard iPad chassis and build and whatnot.
Okay.
And it's $300+, but for what you get with other tablets, it's an iPad. It works and it does it well. And it has Apple Pencil support.
Oh, gotta have Apple Pencil support.
That's the first regular iPad to have Apple Pencil support.
The Pro one's had it.
The Pro.
I don't like their tagline. It says iPad, like a computer, unlike any computer. That's bullshit.
Taglines are always odd.
That's horse shit. Yeah, I mean, it just says I can learn more or I can buy. Kind of want to see. They usually lay out all the specs for you. It's still a 9.7-inch display.
They kept it standard.
Yeah.
And
they're just calling it the iPad, like no number.
Nope.
God damn it! I hate when Apple does that.
The reason why they added the Apple Pencil is they really wanted to push into the education market with this one.
Yeah.
Because
$429 Canadian.
Again, not the worst. You can do a lot with them. That has multitasking now, so you can run 2 apps at once.
I mean, I don't expect me to be impressed. Android phones have been doing that for a long, long time. And tablets. Mm-hmm. But speaking of which, the first tablet that I had could do that was the NVIDIA Shield tablet.
It took Apple a long time to do it.
Well, yeah, it did. But also, shit, where did all those tablets go? The ones that were like gaming oriented. They're gone. Yeah. That was a thing for a while though, for sure. Like they had the little Shield that it was a controller with like a fold up screen. I don't see anything like that being advertised anymore at all.
I'm sure Apple's not happy with the overall state of the tablet market, but they're the only ones that are showing returns.
Returns?
Like actual income.
Yeah. Maybe that's why nobody else is doing it. I think Samsung keeps
another
making tabs.
What's the latest Samsung tablet?
They've always gone with the same naming scheme. It seems like it'd be like the Tab 3 or something, like it'll have a number associated with it. But I couldn't tell you. But I also couldn't have just told you what the newest Apple iPad one is. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good benchmark. Like if I go to Samsung, and I kind of want to look on a site that's not Samsung site, just because I wanted to know when it came out. More importantly, like are they updating their lineup frequently enough? Because they were always pretty popular just for generic tablets. They look like a phone, but if you stretch it bigger, pretty much. So if I go to mobile on their website, and then I go down to tablets, which is the second tab in their smartphones, and then Windows tablets is a separate one. The first one they show me is the Tab S, light, powerful, elegant.
So it's like the 5S, or not the 5S, like it's a smaller tablet.
And the S, I don't know if it's smaller. It's probably a 10-inch tablet, I would imagine. They had ones that were in the 7-inch category and all that. So light, powerful. Okay, I'm gonna pull up some specs
because it's advertising light though.
Yeah, but any tab S2. I don't know what these are. S2 8.0 9. Oh, those are screen sizes. So those 10-inch. This one's a 10-inch. This one's an 8. Which a lot of them fit into that category. If you go to like something like what the iPad Pros were 12 or 11.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit bigger. Surface books were also something that was catching on for a while, and I think they're still putting one out every once in a while.
They do.
I've had good reviews. People tend to like those things. Really, I don't know what I would use for productivity at this point. Because you said you're happy editing Word documents and things like that on your tablet.
Not professional, I'm not writing.
Is it the keyboard that's not up to your standards?
No, I love that wireless keyboard.
Yeah.
It works fine. It allows shortcuts for the iPad, so I can control it like a computer. I can, like, control center, go back and forth.
Nice to have.
So it is nice. I suppose I could blog on it. I could write my blog, but for anything else that I'm doing, like I could have used Excel on the iPad because I was working out prices for the new price sheet, right? But I used it on my computer. So there's that mental difference that I have now where the typing that I do on my iPad is more personal. I do a lot of creative writing on the iPad, whereas I do work writing on a computer. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a full version of Excel. I type in the equations and the code, and it does what it needs to do. I do find that the Excel on the iPad is it's full, but it is a clunkier version of Excel on the computer. But Microsoft Word on the iPad, if I had to, 100%.
Yeah. Excel is one of those things that it's pretty much impossible to replicate the robustness of the desktop application. Because they have like a web browser one that's just not the same. I don't know. There's a certain... I mean, there's more functionality in the desktop one, but it's just sort of a punchiness to it.
And then I have a full version of PowerPoint on my iPad
which I'm sure is fine.
Is fine, yeah. And I don't use it. I just have it because...
Not in high school anymore. Don't need PowerPoint.
High school or college.
Yeah.
They never did. Even with the iPad Pro, I would have thought for sure they would have put out a mobile optimized version of Final Cut for the iPad Pro.
They really were pushing a lot of the pro editing stuff.
Yeah, but it was all iMovie stuff and whatnot. You would have thought that would have been just a smart move.
Pros don't use iMovie.
No, so they should have did Final Cut.
We could have revived it.
Wow.
Made them competitive with Premiere again.
The newest version of Final Cut that's available on the App Store, everybody says that they made a big update like 6 or 7 months ago that was just a software update, but everybody said that they should have called it Final Cut 11 because it changed everything. Multicam, just like Premiere. Yes, they were playing catch-up, but for people that were in an Apple ecosystem, it became a contender again.
Yeah. Well, that's good that there's something like that there.
But I went with Premiere because... it's a suite.
Yeah,
and Final Cut used to be a suite. It was a production suite.
What did it
you
come
didn't get the photo editing. You got DVD Studio Pro, which Adobe used to have DVD authoring.
Yeah.
Final Cut Studio, Soundtrack Pro. You got a 3D rendering. I can't remember the titles, but you got everything you needed for video production. I like Adobe because it's not just video production; it's photo.
No, it's oriented towards just about everything.
That being said,
script writing and all.
Final Cut Pro or Final Cut X is $300, whereas Adobe Premiere or Adobe Suite is a subscription. Perpetuity.
Yeah, and pretty expensive in Canadian dollars since we're getting billed from the US.
50 change, 56 a month. So that's why I'm trying to utilize everything that I can. Like I have started my online course for Illustrator. I want to get Adobe certified. Beatties is going to pay for it.
Do it, yeah.
If they're going to do it, I'll get Adobe certified because then I can actually call them. I didn't go to college for it, but if I'm certified by Adobe for graphic design.
Probably better. Means more.
Yeah. I have to get tested by Adobe, but.
That'll be fun. Be like that being back in school.
Yeah.
I still have nightmares about that stuff.
I have nightmares all the time that I've missed so many classes, and then I wake up and I'm like,
God, I did stuff for like final
I've been out of
fucking
high school for
like
going on. I mean, 8 years now.
You know, people always joke
about
that.
Nightmares about college. I have nightmares about high school.
Oh yeah, some of mine were university based.
Never.
Actually, probably most of mine are university based. But you got to think that's like people joke about it, but that's like a PTSD thing, like having flashbacks.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm always missing math. I wasn't a bad math student. But I'll be like, oh, I've missed 7 days worth of math. I'm fine. Like, what's the point? And then I wake up and I'm like, A, that's not me. I don't miss classes. And B, it was 8 years ago. And that is what something is. Shit the bed there. And that.
I think that was a funny thing.
That is fun. That is something funny that happened on the way to the podcast 8 years ago.
It only gets better from here, folks.
Yes, I am Jesse signing off. All this stuff right here.
Eric signing off.
Stuff there.
Have a good
night.
Good night.